It's not Smeagol, it's just my scary voice.
It's not that scary, it's just weird.
Omathooo. I will do it, no matter what you say.
Okay,
Just stop. Let's get to the video.
Okay, let's get to the video.
We are doing the Legends of Omathooo.
Yes, we are. Omathooo.
We are doing Avatar the Last Airbender theories.
Yes, we will be doing theories basically every single time. We are theory people.
Theories and weird things, people.
Weird things, yes. Avatar the Last Airbender theories, anyway, is what we're going to be doing today, so let's jump in. So the first theory we're going to be looking at for Avatar the Last Airbender is that Aang is possibly not the last Airbender in the first show.
Well, yeah, we all realize that if you watch this, that all the Southern Air people were gone and destroyed.
Yeah.
And you even see like the fire helmet.
Yeah, you see
the
fire
firebender
helmets
helmet.
and all those things.
Just one problem with that would be, well, when we later go into the story of Book 1 and we go to the Northern Air Temple, there is no trace of firebender nor airbender.
No.
Or remnants there besides the religion.
Yeah, it's
that is
only
put
the
there.
Southern Air Temple that has actually been destroyed or targeted.
Neither has been the Eastern Air Temple or the Western Air Temple.
Which you never actually see the Western Air Temple in the entire
Which
show.
will-
Which
which
we'll
will-
get to.
Yes. We're going to start on this part saying that
Aang is not the last, actually. It is the truth.
mainly because, well, what we just said, there's no other remnants of death of an airbender.
Or any remnants of Fire Nations even being at the other air temples at all. Of course, the Earth Nation people at the other air temple could have cleared it out. That is also probably not the case because in the Eastern Air Temple, there's still nothing.
Nothing even. All that's left is a hanging building.
Pretty much.
There's one thing we can see is that there's no manuscripts. All there is fountain, rooms.
All
again,
there is
hanging buildings.
fountain.
Fountain.
All there is fountain.
Oh,
Fountain.
okay. I think we're done with that.
Okay.
But
I will never let it go.
of course you won't. You never let anything go.
Let it go.
Don't you start that.
Okay.
Another thing about Aang that we want to put that's not saying he's the only one is the fact that in the very beginning of the story, he's in an iceberg for 100 years.
Yeah.
One thing that's probably been on a lot of people's mind, again, if you've watched this, is that watch the show, is how could he have lived that long in the iceberg? And some people may be saying, oh, it's stasis like in the movies. First of all, that's with technology.
Yeah.
This is back in the day.
Back way in the day.
In whatever land this was. Second of all, he was in an iceberg.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
With no oxygen,
Yeah.
which would supply his heart to beat
Yeah.
and keep
His brain
pumping
to
blood.
think.
And then his blood, second of all, would also freeze, which would have to be him dead in an iceberg. And then the story would go on to nothing ever happened and the Fire Nation would rule.
Because Avatar would have died. The thing is that it's a myth that if you're frozen, you'll survive. That's a very big myth.
It's only, well, it depends on the time. It could be like maybe a year or so if they supply oxygen and a substance to go into you, but not if you're stuck 100 years and no one knows where you are.
Under the water.
That too.
Yeah, because the thing is that you don't have any oxygen down there because you will be alive, but there's not going to be any oxygen. And even though everything will slow down and all that kind of stuff, it would slow down. Your heartbeat would slow down. Your brain running things would slow down. I cannot think of words right now. It would slow. Even though they would slow down, they wouldn't just stop and keep going. They would still be going, and and if they didn't have any nutrition or oxygen, you would just die. Not to mention your skin would be falling off from hypothermia.
That, and probably not smallpox, because that's somewhat a different case.
Why smallpox?
Well, it just has to do with the freezing cold.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Why are you sure?
Because it's not transmitted. It doesn't come with the cold.
My life. Okay, one question that you might be thinking, okay, if it wasn't stasis and he would have died, how is he still alive? I actually have an answer for that. Everyone knows that within the series, Roku and the other benders or bending avatars are with him.
Yeah.
One thing we could put right to assumption, the one avatar that was before him was Roku, who was originally a firebender, was within him. His soul kept him alive through a burning spirit, because you can also tell while he's in the iceberg, it still looks like he's floating, just a tad bit.
That, and plus there's a little bit of light. He may be in the avatar state, but even without that, there's still light around him, like a fire or flame.
A little glimpse of what may seem to be a fire. He glows, and the first thing that you see within the avatar state is rage. That seems a little bit more to the fire-bending side to where it would be as a waterbender, earthbender, or airbender. And another thing is that when he's in the avatar state, you can tell that he's not going to just wreck everything how I'm going to go and compare to one point in Attack on Titan. Some may not get this if you have not watched the episodes. But sort of in that reference, but he goes straight for the firebenders, not because they're the evil, but Roku meant different upon each, and he's acting against each, just like Iroh.
Yeah.
And that is actually
how he's still alive after 100 years.
And that'll be the end of this theory.
Well, that theory, but let's go back to the first theory that he's possibly not the last, which we went on a tangent. But the reason why we're thinking that he might not be the last is because, like we said, there's no remnants of a Fire Nation scuffle or battle at any of the other temples, just the southern one. And because of this, and plus we never go to the western one at all and through the entire series anywhere, it's possible that there are airbenders still there but hiding. They're hiding away.
Or they haven't ever been told, or nothing has gone to them and told them that a war's going on. Maybe because someone never truly remembered, or the place was lost.
After all, you have to remember this is 100 years after the first battle, so it could be possible that possibly the Western Air Temple could be an underground temple. It's possible, so they haven't been above ground, like people saying they're not supposed to go above ground or things like that for fear of safety, and also the Fire Nation might come, so they'd rather let the Fire Nation believe that the Avatar's dead and that they're dead than just all of the airbenders just be dead.
And some people are going to ask questions. Well, if this is such a huge theory, and this might be something that someone would want to discuss, why can't we just say that they're in the Western Air Temple? One thing we can go to and say that they're in hiding is, in the fourth book, The Legend of Korra, Season 2, you see them looking to see if there's any air nomads, and in one of the episodes, there's around 36. For some reason, we are thinking that someone held them captive for slave usage or other usage, being as in maybe having them perform arts or having them do certain tasks. No one truly knows that story because
they don't know it themselves.
Yes.
They've forgotten. No one told them why they were hiding. They just were hiding. And Aang, wouldn't have even thought to gone to the Western Air Temple, probably because he might have been afraid to, fearing what he might find, because he probably would know it had been possibly underground or a place for hiding, and if he found no airbenders there, it'd mean he truly was the last. But the thing is that if he was the last, the Avatar cycle would be broken, because then there'd be no one to teach the next Avatar airbending, even though Aang has a son later.
Yes. Which would... Well,
I mean, at that time, because the thing is that if there were no airbenders at all left at that time, if he didn't have a son, the cycle would be broken, son or not, because there's just no airbenders left, so it's not possible.
Yeah, this is sometimes brought to be, well, if this is going to be a big thing, and we're going to spend around 6 minutes talking about one thing, why wasn't this been put in, let's just say, the series? this is one thing that they wanted to add drama to, just in case they made the series and there was going to be anything else. If they just left it hanging and there were no other, like my friend was saying, there would be no one else to teach, and there'd be no other reason or cause to ever have airbending as another element.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically, so that's the theory. Believe it or not. So, we'll leave it at that. But next, on to a kind of smaller theory.
On to the next theory! About Gyatso.
Gyatso! Okay. So, when Aang first goes to the Southern Air Temple expecting to see, other airbenders, because he doesn't yet know he's been gone for 100 years.
And believes that everyone will still be there and always thinks that whatever Katara and Sokka say about 100 years is a joke.
Yeah, it's... You guys, you're such jokesters.
Yeah, because around 12 years old, a lot of us can say that we were once jokesters.
Yeah.
And we would all... If we heard something, we wouldn't always believe it. Because we'd always think there's something better to be coming up with us.
Yeah.
Coming into our paths.
Yeah, but... Anyway, but he goes there, and you see, you see the Fire Nation helmets, but you don't see any bones or really any bodies besides Gyatso's. And the weird thing is that bones bones deteriorate in a fast amount of time, a lot faster than 100 years. And plus, Gyatso is exposed to open air and open elements. So why is the skeleton, clothes, and necklaces, all those things, still slightly intact?
We would also think that if this was the only thing here, how come the armor hasn't depleted? How come the wind hasn't made it fall off the mountain? Why is all this still here?
Yeah, because
and especially in the tent to where the clothing, to where they found Gyatso, how would that still be there, or any of that still be there?
Yeah,
if it was within maybe a 15-year period.
Yeah, I mean, it might still be there in a 15-year period, but it's 100 years. No one's disturbed this place in 100 years.
Which is why many people would always be confused if they thought of this in the first place.
Which is why we think that the Gyatso's spirit is possibly still there, keeping everything intact. He possibly knows that Aang was in the iceberg, and he's going to return to the Southern Air Temple one time, and it would be probably better for Aang to at least see the body of his friend, rather than no friend body at all.
And if this wasn't the case, maybe it would be to where his spirit was still here, surrounding and guarding, keeping anything else from truly coming, as saying a gust of wind would come across and wipe anyone that is not with an airbender or has any reason to be on this Southern Air Temple's boundaries.
Yeah. So Gyatso basically is just keeping, everything safe for Aang when he returns. He must know the truth. He might know the truth. Know that truth. Okay, the next theory is kind of a medium-sized theory, which has to do with the 4 nations.
Everyone can say that this looks slightly close to one thing. We could say that this looks like a little bit of the world.
Yeah, pretty much the world. Like, this is Europe. This could be Asia. You have...
parts of the Americas.
Parts of the America. Like this, the outline of this kind of looks like Southern America, South America, Latin America.
I was also thinking that, Latin America, because it looks like the bottom half we're under U.S. where there's Mexico, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, all of that.
Yeah.
And it looks as if it's intact. And we kind of feel like it is used for some other purpose. Just besides the fact that this resembles close.
Yeah. Like, this is Asia, but this looks more like Russia, so it's like Russia is separated from the rest of Asia.
And one might be thinking, well, if this is Russia, how come the background isn't snowy? Well, here's one thing. They might have made it and interpreted to look like
the Earth, but it's not the Earth.
It's not the Earth, or it's from a different dimension to where it's parallel parallel to ours, but not everything's the same function.
Yeah, like this.
Like how you.
This definitely looks like Antarctica. Just saying. But so at least they have these pretty much the same, but everything else is just messed
A little
up.
different. And then we can also show, like, oh, it's not snowy over here. If we go to the Fire Nation, we can say, and it looks like Latin America, we can say it doesn't have volcanoes as frequent as what it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And not every place in this whole map has mountains on it.
Yeah, but the thing is that this could also be representing the Ring of Fire, which is actually something that is in the world, where it's basically a ring around the Atlantic Ocean of volcanoes.
Formed together.
Yeah.
To bring all of this, because there are some details within this that may look as if it's not.
One of these islands kind of looks like Japan as well. So some of the islands are definitely still there.
And then this little area to where the southern air temple is, right around here, it looks as if it might be Indonesia.
Yeah.
And some of these other parts look as more frequent of islands to be scattered around. Like in Canada, you have all these different islands.
Yeah.
Or Indonesia, near Japan, and you have all this.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we can show, that if that's where most of the continents are, where is Australia? We can say that the most known one that we can pinpoint would be this area right here. It's put away from
everything else,
and it looks as if it should have been positioned more southern.
And even though it's not exactly the true shape of Australia, the thing is that it is kept separate and is about the exact same size that Australia possibly could be. So, and then besides it being a parallel to the world, there is another theory that could also be that there was once a war between the Earth Nation and the Fire Nation. And that is why these two civilizations are so advanced, but these are stuck
separated.
in tradition. They're stuck in tradition. Let me just erase this.
It's a monstrosity.
So it is a monstrosity. So you discuss this while I'm choosing a different color.
Well, we will think that, the Earth Nation is so huge. We might think that all the nations were in once contact, or it was all in this, and then everything else was just split. Islands and land. One thing that we can say is that it doesn't seem most likely as it would be the water nations and then the air nations to be a part of what is
obviously just
the Earth Nation
and plains.
Because like we said earlier that the air nation and water nations are put to traditions. We can go and we can also go back to saying, the part of Russia doesn't seem most likely with ice.
Mm-hmm.
And there is in the north. One place we can put is that there wasn't enough of a cool temperature to make ice happen.
Yeah.
But there was enough embrace to make ice come within their waterbender.
Yeah. And plus, the thing is that, like I said before, these two nations are more highly advanced than the other two. And that could be possibly because that at one time they were at war. And war forces the invention of war weapons and things like this. It causes because you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose your, you don't want to lose to the other country. You don't want to lose to the other nation. So you have to keep making advancements in war in order to, just keep creating. But these nations, their water and air, were not involved in the war at all, so they're stuck in tradition. They don't have any war elements, and
some of them might have not been even informed that there was a war going on.
Yeah.
Mainly because
they're
the
so
two closest nations, you could say that it's the Western Air Temples. It's the Western Air Temple and then the Earth Kingdom or the Air Temples. But if you look, the most commonly close one that would actually have reason for war is the Earth Nation and the Fire Nation.
Mm-hmm. And it seems because the huge size of the Earth Nation probably won. And that could also be why the Fire Nation is creating the war that you see in the Avatar series, because they're angry and want to rule.
That, and it's just Ozai is insane.
Yeah, he's insane, but at the same time, it could also be set in history. It's like, we lost, we'll never lose again!
Kind of how... I can't believe I'm actually going to go in history for this. How Germany blamed the Jews for the loss in World War One.
Mm-hmm. So they're blaming the entire world. It's like, we lost once, we're not going to lose again. And they lost again, so.
Because it's the Fire Nation at this point, and at this point, they're not the best.
No. Not really. Okay, so that about wraps up all the theories, but the thing is that if you want to see any Legend of Korra series or theories and any of that of the
sort,
sort,
show you the next slide.
We're not. No.
We hate it. I'm sorry if you like it, but we're not big fans. The only reason I brought it up is because it was important for one part of the theories.
Yeah.
And if you wanted anything to do with this, or with Korra, and you ask us, we might do it, but it's more likely we're
not
going to reject
Yeah,
that.
we're probably not going to do it unless it's, like, huge earth-shadowing and has to do with the first TV series. So
exactly.
Any Legend of Korra theories... Why do I keep saying series? I don't know. Any Legend of Korra theories, we are not going to do. Theories.
We will not.
No.
Because...
Just like this lovely dude says.
No.
Okay, so anyway, if you guys like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and Omathooo!